Invested money earns income over time. So we say that money has a time value. If you are going to receive money, you'd rather receive the money sooner than later because of time value of money. We assume that the money we receive now will be invested, which will earn interest over time. Time value of money depends on several factors. The first thing it depends on is the principal amount. The principal amount is typically the amount of money we are going to invest. Either we invest or we save when we are looking at budgeting analysis. Principal amount could be one of two ways. It could be a single lump sum, so that would be one principal amount, or it could be an annuity. An annuity is where you either save or you receive equal amounts every year. For it to be an annuity, it has to be an equal amount. If you receive every year you receive a certain amount, but they're different amounts, those are not called an annuity. That's called a lump sum. The next factor is the number of periods. The number of periods of time. Third thing is the interest rate. Sometimes in your calculators you will see P for the principal amount, N for the number of periods, and I for the interest rate. And you will see that on interest rate tables as well sometimes. Let's take a look at what interest rate calculations look like. First, we're going to take a look at a simple interest rate calculation. Simple interest means that interest is calculated only on the principal amount. In this example, our principal amount is $10,000. We're going to invest it for 6%, which is the interest rate, and the number of periods is 5 years right here. How do we calculate interest? Well, principal is 10%. Interest rates are always quoted on an annual basis, so it earns 6% interest. How much interest do we earn in the first year? It's 10,000 multiplied by 6%, or $600. How much interest do we earn in the second year? Again, our principal is 10,000, our interest rate is 6%, and we earn 600. So every year we will earn $600 for 5 years, a total interest of $3,000. This is what we call a simple interest calculation. So interest is only earned on the 10,000, which is the principal amount. Next, we're going to talk about compound interest. Compound interest is what's more common in day-to-day applications. If you borrow money, the type of interest you pay is compound interest. If you put your money in a savings account, the type of interest you receive is compound interest. Compound interest means that interest is calculated on the principal and all interest that you have earned to date. So let's look at this example again. We had a period of 5 years. We had an interest rate of 6% again. Our principal was 10,000, and we're going to calculate interest using compound interest method. In your first year, your interest that you earn is $10,000 times 6%, or $600. There's no difference between simple interest and compound interest in the first year. But in the second year, what we do is we add the interest that we earned in our first year. So now our principal for our second year is $10,600. Your compound interest calculation for the second year is 6% of the $10,600, which is $636. In your third year, you're going to calculate 6% on your original 10,000 principal plus the 600 interest you earned in the first year plus the 636 interest you earned in the second year. And then you end up with 674. So basically, compound interest is where you earn interest on your interest as well. So you earn interest on your principal and on any interest that you have been paid up to date. The compound interest method will always result in extra interest being earned. That's when you compare it with the simple interest method. In this particular example, we earned $83 extra interest from compounding as opposed to simple interest. Whenever we use time value of money examples, we are talking about compound interest. We're going to calculate present value and future value next. Whenever you're comparing multiple incomes from different time periods, what you need to do is you need to bring it to a common time period. The common time period can be a present value or a future value. The difference between your present value and the future value is just the interest that you have earned over the period of time. To calculate the interest earned, you can use a calculator or you can use interest rate tables, present value and future value tables. There are 4 tables that are available, and you will use one of the 4 tables to calculate your interest earned when you're figuring out your present value or your future value. The 4 tables that you will typically see are present value of $1. This would be the table that you would use if you needed to calculate a present value, and it is a lump sum payment. The next table you will see is your present value of annuity of $1. This would be the table if you wanted to calculate a present value of an annuity. Remember, an annuity is an equal payment or a cash inflow over a certain period of time. The third table is the future value of $1. This is the table you would use if you wanted to calculate a future value of a single lump sum. And then the final table that you will look at is the future value of an annuity of $1, which is a table you would use if you wanted to calculate the future value of an annuity. Let's try to figure out which tables we should use. Take a minute to read this question. Whenever you're given a question, the first thing that you need to know is, are they asking you to calculate a present value or a future value? Let's look at here. Well, they want us to calculate the present value. So you know that you're going to be using one of the 2 present value tables, either present value of a lump sum or a present value of an annuity. Is this a lump sum or an annuity? It says we will be getting $200,000 in 5 years from now. It's a lump sum. Now all you have to do is go to your present value of a $1 table and look up what is the factor for an interest rate of 6% for a period of 5 years. What you do is periods are shown down vertically and your interest rate is shown up here horizontally. So we said 6% was our interest rate, so it's this column, and the number of periods was 5. So we're going to go down here and we're going to end up at 0.747. That is our factor, 0.747. Then to calculate our present value, all we do is we take that 0.747 and multiply that by our principal amount of $200,000. And we end up with $149,400. So the answer is, if you got $200,000 5 years from now, at assuming an interest rate of 6%, the present value of the money that you will be getting is $149,400. Let's do another example. Pause this video and read this question for a minute. So question number 1 is always, do they want you to calculate the present value or future value? Here it says they're asking for the present value. The next step is this an annuity or a lump sum? Let's read the question. It says you will be getting $1,000 for each of the 5 years. That means you'll be getting $1,000 in year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4, and year 5. That would be an annuity. So you're going to use the present value annuity table. Your period again is 5 years, but your interest rate this time is 4%. So let's take a look at the table and find out what our factor is. We're going to do 4%, which is right here, for 5 years. Our factor is 4.452. Now what you do is you take that 4.452 and multiply that by your principal, which is $1,000. That's the annuity that you receive every year. And you get $4,452. So if you receive $1,000 each for 5 years, assuming you could get a 4% interest rate, the present value of that $1,000 a year is $4,452. We're going to do a third question. Again, pause this question for a minute, pause the video for a minute to read the question. Again, your first question is going to be, is this a present value or a future value? What is the question? They're asking you, at the end of 10 years, how much money would you have saved for a down payment on your house. They want to know how much money you would have at the end of 10 years. That's the future value. So you are going to be looking at one of the two future value tables. Are you going to look at the lump sum or the annuity? Let's see what you are going to do. It says you will be saving $2,000 a year in your first dream home fund for each of the next 10 years. So you'll be saving $2,000 each year. That is an annuity. So now that you figured out that's the annuity table, you take a look at your interest rate and your period. You know that your interest rate is 8% and the number of years is 10 years. So you can go look at the table. 8% is right here and 10 is right here. So when you look across, you're going to see a factor of 14.487. Now you take that 14.487 and you multiply that by your principal of $2,000 and you get a future value of 28,974. So the answer is at the end of 10 years you would have saved 28,974 if you save 2,000 a year at 8%. Whenever you're doing future value and present value calculations, you can use either the tables or a calculator that has financial features. My Accounting Lab is set up so that you can use either, and it doesn't matter, it will give you the same answer in My Accounting Lab whenever you do your quizzes and exams.